retention, I want to talk about retention troubleshooting, because this is a huge freaking thing. I cannot tell y'all, I went through a bad retention period and it is horrible. It makes you want to quit. So I wanted to come on here and just do a quick retention troubleshoot. If you are a lash artist and you are experiencing retention issues with your clients, or even, the majority of your clients, I want you to watch this video because this is going to help you. This is me literally, okay, so let me tell y'all, when I was having my retention issue, I literally was like researching all night. I researched everything. I spent so much money on a humidifier. I've tried like all these glues. I've done everything to fix retention. So even though I've only been doing lashes for a year and a half, I will say right now that I consider myself like really, really knowledgeable in retention troubleshooting, just because I've been with it. I've helped a few of my friends. It's worked. So I can say right now that it's helped me. I've also received help from people as well, different advice and everything like that. So let me tell you guys right now, if you guys are having retention issue, the first thing that, if it's just like one client, you need to look at your client. I have notes down here because I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So you want to make sure that your clients aren't picking, they're not getting them wet if your protocol calls for that. You want to make sure they're not going in the sauna, putting any freaking products that have oil on them. There's a lot of things that your clients can be doing that they're not aware of, and a lot of them do say that they aren't doing something, and they really are doing something. So once you have it figured out, like for example, if you've had clients there forever and all of a sudden they're starting to experience retention issue, they're not coming in with dirty lashes, then it's time for you to start looking at what you're doing. Okay, and this is what you need to look at. So the first thing I do want to say is I watched a video from Lash 411. Sandra actually addressed this. So if you guys, I would go watch her video because I literally was sitting there just like watching the whole thing because it was so interesting. She actually worked in a hair salon. So a lot of lash artists are renting booths in hair salons, and I think it's called Amino, or I don't know what it's called. I forgot how to pronounce it. But basically, whatever chemical they're using to mix up their stuff when they're applying hair dye is not good for your lash glue. Those fumes come up, and that's going to affect, it can cure your glue, it can just make it horrible. She actually lost half of her clientele from that because she couldn't figure it out, and then she did. So look at your environment. If you're in a hair salon, it may be time for you to get up out of there and not work somewhere where they're coloring hair, okay? So another thing would be, that has to deal with the environment. You want to make sure that your humidity and your temperature are on point. It's what the glue needs it to be. So if you're using a specific glue, make sure that you're looking, you're seeing, okay, it needs to be stored like this. It needs to be, in this humidity, it works best. You can also tell, I've seen some videos by Frankie Widows on how she dispenses the glue on different tapes, and you can see how the glue just sits there, and if it's good glue, you can tell by the texture and stuff like that. So watch some Frankie Widow videos as well if you want to see how the different, matter of fact, I'll go on there and I'll try to find it and I'll place it in the description box for you guys. You want to make sure that your glue isn't old, the dated glue. So rule of thumb for me, I dispense after 3 weeks. That's just me. Even if the glue's good for 6 weeks or 3.5, it just depends on what the glue's feeling like. You guys may be like, oh my gosh, that's a waste. No, y'all, we charge a lot of money for what we do, and you should not hesitate to ensure that you are making sure that your glue is good to go. I don't care if it says it's good for 5 weeks. If it's starting to feel some type of way, you always have extra glues just waiting just in case, okay? You also want to make sure, so this is something I wasn't doing for the longest. I wasn't shaking my glue long enough. I was not shaking it. Now I actually have one of those shakers, a paint shaker that shakes it for me. I shake it every time before I dispense. The first drop of glue that I dispense, I throw it away. I put it to the side and I use the second drop. That's because I know the air is getting to that first drop because it's been sitting in there. So I don't want that bad glue. So dispense, throw away, dispense, and then I use. Okay, so make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you are using glue that is appropriate for your lash speed. If you are a new lash artist, you probably shouldn't be using glue that dries in 1 second. Okay, so that's a big thing. I made that mistake. I had no business using fast drying glue, and then I freaking learned later. Now I'm okay because I recently started using a glue ring, and I was so afraid to do that, you guys, because the last thing you want is for the glue to spill on your client's freaking face. But I started doing that, and Sandra actually showed me, you know, a good way to do it, and I've been loving it. So make sure that your bases are attached when you are applying. Make sure that that base is attached, and just, y'all, just make sure your stuff is together. I know I started using the Illumino Retention Boost. It's like this little thing that you swipe, and I've liked that because I feel like the lashes just suck right on to the natural lash. So that's awesome. Another issue that you guys may be dealing with for retention is y'all are applying these lashes that are too long and too heavy for the client's natural lash. And I see this all the time, y'all. I see this all the time. Y'all, if somebody has little stubby lashes, you should not, that are natural like 9s, you should not be putting 13s on them. It's too long, and people are still applying 0.20s on people, and I don't even apply anything over a 0.15, and I rarely use a 0.15, but it's too heavy. It will cause the lash to come off, and it will probably break the natural lash. So we don't want that. So that comes with experience as well. You need to look at that. If they're having retention issues and everything else is on point, check the length. And if they don't like it, if they're like, no, I want them longer, maybe it's time that you tell them they need to go see somebody else. I've done that before. I refuse to damage anybody's lashes. Another thing you may realize is, this kind of deals with the speed. If you're lashing from a palette and you're dispensing your glue on the right-hand side, you might notice that your left-hand side, your retention is not doing as well. That's because the glue is drying before you're actually getting over there to place the lash. So the right side may be okay because it's closer, but the left side may not be okay. So keep that into consideration as well before you start freaking out, okay? Make sure that you are also curing the glue when you're done. You want to make sure you're using a nebulizer or a nano mister. I prefer a nebulizer, and I actually just made a video on that, so make sure to check that out. Also, another mistake that I was making is I wasn't using enough glue. Sandra pointed that out to me, and I'm glad, because she said, I always thought maybe my placement was jacked up, but she said my placement is on point. So I just needed to dip just a little bit more to get some more glue on there. I never want lashes to look clumpy, and I was always afraid to use glue. Don't be afraid to use it. Just do what you gotta do. So I hope that helps you guys with a few ideas to check your retention. I can honestly say using a slower drying glue may help you guys, but using a glue ring is probably going to be your best bet so that it's even. You grab your lash even on both sides. But y'all, it really sucks. Like, I've lost a few clients because of retention. It happens to every single one of us. Don't feel bad, it's okay. But when I lost clients, I gained more. So that's what should be happening. But you just have to be, if you do have an issue and you recognize that it is you, that you figured out, my suggestion would be to give your clients free fills. The ones that had the issue, give them a free fill, because that's what I did, and because that's not something that's their fault. It's not. And you would never, if that were to happen to me, if I was a client, I would but I would hope for a free fill, since it was something that the artist found out that she was doing wrong. Never let your pride get in the way to admitting something when you've done something wrong. Just say it. It's okay. It freaking happens. We're all learning at the end of the day. But definitely, y'all, just the retention is a big freaking deal. But it is what it is. Make sure you guys are following those, and come and subscribe. Bitch. You just scared the shit out of me. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, y'all. If you guys have any other freaking recommendations, it's all about helping each other. It's all about us figuring this out together. And I would never want to hear of a lash artist quitting because of their retention. So this subject is very important to me, because I felt what you have felt, or what you are currently feeling with retention. I've gone through it. I've literally cried because of it. Check that out, and I hope y'all enjoy, and I hope that y'all get through this retention issue, because it is a struggle. So yeah, go ahead and hit subscribe, because it's free, and we all like free shit, so yeah. It's like smoke. You see it? It's like smoke. So my clients love this. They don't even know when I'm doing it. Okay?